Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajacharya Astottara Satta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajacharya Astottara Satta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Hari Gaura Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navneet Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Chamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samabeta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Panchatattva Prabhu. Jai Jai. And welcome everyone to Caitanya-caritamrta reading with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami's friends. It is Thursday, October 5th, 2023. And maybe someone can tell me where we are in the 7th chapter of the Adi Lila.
I think we're somewhere around text 55, 54 or 55. The Brahmin has come to extend his invitation to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after appearing on the scene fortuitously after Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar have expressed their anxiety and disturbance at the way Lord Chaitanya is being insulted and demeaned by the criticisms of the Mayavadi sannyasis in Benares. So let's see, I think 53 was covered. 50, maybe 55, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody else concur?
I agree, 55.
You think it's 55?
Yes,
I think so.
definitely.
Good, good. There is agreement. So perhaps someone could monitor the chat box this evening, either Surabhi Kunj or Saraswati Mataji's. If either of them would like to do that, that would be very welcome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And Prabhu, if you like, you can start with our reading tonight. That would be really nice.
Okay, with everyone's permission, we'll start it. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya-caritamrta. Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 55. Nadyaha Sanyasi Goshti Iha Amijani More Anugraha Kara Nimantranamani. My dear Lord, I know that you never mix with other sannyasis, but please be merciful unto me and accept my invitation. Purport. An acharya, or great personality of the Vaishnava school, is very strict in his principles. But although he is as hard as a thunderbolt, sometimes he is as soft as a rose. Thus, actually, he is independent. He follows all the rules and regulations strictly, but sometimes he slackens this policy. It was known that Lord Chaitanya never mixed with the Mayavadi sannyasis, yet he conceded to the request of the Brahmana, as stated in the next verse. I guess we'll read that one too, if it's all right. Text 56. Prabhu hasi nimantrana koila angikar, sannyasire kripalagi ebangi tanhar. Lord Chaitanya smiled and accepted the invitation of the Brahmana. He made this gesture to show his mercy to the Mayavadi sannyasis. Purport. Tapana Mishra and Chandrasekhar appealed to the lotus feet of the Lord regarding their grief at the criticism of him by the sannyasis in Benares. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu merely smiled, yet he wanted to fulfill the desires of his devotees, and the opportunity came when the Brahmana came to request him to accept his invitation to be present in the midst of the other sannyasis. This coincidence was made possible by the omnipotency of the Lord. So the stage is being set for Lord Chaitanya to present the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, the package of Vaishnava philosophy, which defeats impersonalist understandings, or in other words, graduates them from impersonalism to a personal understanding of the absolute truth. The stage is being set. This Brahmana, whose name is unknown to us, has played an important part. Chandrasekhar and Tapan Mishra have played important parts in expressing their anxiety over the criticisms of the impersonalists. And now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is responding to their anxiety. Out of kindness for them, he's going to address these Mayavadi sannyasis in an assembly at the Brahman's home. Any comments? Anything in the chat box? Would anybody like to speak?
Ekendra Prabhu says, I love this sentence. This coincidence was made possible by the omnipotency of the Lord. I can imagine using it in many different scenarios.
Yeah, maybe we can even say in our own lives, when we had the chance to meet Vaishnavas, that this coincidence was made possible by the omnipotency of the Lord through his devotees. We're all so fortunate. Anyone else?
If I may, I liked it, the definition of the way Srila Prabhupada explains the saying, hard as a thunderbolt, soft as a rose.
Nice.
Because he's referring to the way a sannyasi may act, acts and may act if he decides to become soft as a rose. Then he even can go to the extreme of accepting the invitation of, in this case, the Brahmana, no?
Yeah, and knowing that the Mayavadi sannyasis would be there.
Yes.
Yeah, because he never mixed with the Mayavadi sannyasis. He was very strict in this principle. Yeah, hard as a thunderbolt, soft as a rose. That's one of those expressions that's well known among ISKCON devotees. And our Srila Prabhupada would exemplify these qualities at different times in his pastimes and preaching all over the world. Hard as a thunderbolt, soft as a rose. Wonderful expression.
And if I may, and this passage of this purpose is like an instruction in the sense of teaching us that if it happens for you to be in need of, in urgent need of something to be offered to you by a sannyasi, then the hope for him to slacken his policy is always there, because we may think, oh no, Maharaj will not do it, but the Brahmana did invite Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya said yes. So it may happen that our desires may become fulfilled based on the fact that the sannyasi may say yes to something which apparently would get a no.
Yeah, it's true. Nice point. Anybody else? Thank you, Vijay Krishna Prabhu. That was excellent.
You're welcome, Prabhu.
I had a thought. I'm
Yeah.
reading along in the Lilamrita right now,
Hmm.
and there are many instances, especially in India, where Prabhupada accepts invitations to speak in gatherings of Mayavadi sannyasis at various sadhu samajas, Vedanta
Yeah.
samalans, etc. Places that for his own personal desire, he would have no desire going. But because it's an opportunity to glorify Krishna and really to show the audience what is what, comparing the evidence that he showed them of his disciples chanting and dancing versus the long grinding discourses of the Mayavadins.
Yeah.
And then what to speak of his preaching in the West, going to events such as the mantra rock dance, just to name one example. Certainly that hall was filled with persons who couldn't really be called Mayavadi sannyasis, but they were of a different archetype altogether. And Prabhupada was pleased to go there for no other reason than to get this Hare Krishna movement off the ground.
Yeah. I think I recall him saying as he was exiting, someone said, he said, either this is no place for a sannyasi or this is no place for a brahmachari. I can't remember what it was. It was funny.
Yeah, brahmachari.
Brahmachari.
And
Prabhupada-
there's a passage in the related to the life of Bhaktisiddhanta that I think he was invited to for a meeting which was there including a meal, and he knew that meat was going to be served.
Mhm.
But still he said yes, and he went in and he preached.
Mm.
I don't have all the details, but I still have it in my mind. This event he for the sake of preaching, he said yes. He of course he didn't eat the meat, but he did join the meeting for the purpose of preaching. And if I'm not wrong, he did preach. He made the best use of a bad bargain.
Mm.
So I think it amazes me that this saying,
Yeah.
hard as a thunderbolt and soft as a rose, also is meaningful in the sense that for the sake of preaching,
Sure.
the sannyasis, the preachers, they do the needful.
Yeah. And sometimes Prabhupada would refuse like interfaith meetings and gatherings and things and say, what is the use?
Yes.
You would
Yes.
just say, no, I'm not going. Prabhupada was independent. But yeah, he made made use of every practical opportunity for spreading Krishna consciousness. And we're all beneficiaries of that munificence.
Yes, we are.
Anyone else? Anything more in the chat box? Should we continue?
Saraswati Mataji says, pranams, we know many acharyas from different sampradayas.
Hello, is there more?
To show them their errors and also shower mercy on them. Acharyas fulfill many purposes in any one act. Both acts, as thunderbolt or as soft as a rose, is equally beneficial to all.
There, I missed some of that. Okay.
We missed part of the
What we
audio.
got?
That was a little sketchy. The first sentence was that we know many acharyas from different sampradayas. would engage in discourses with Mayavadis to show them their errors and also shower mercy on them too. Acharyas fulfill many purposes in any one act.
And then she says, both acts, as thunderbolt or as soft as a rose, are equally beneficial to all. Nice. We're going to have that experience as we continue in the 7th chapter of the Sri Caitanya-caritamrta. Next verse. Who would like to read the next verse, which is text 57, I believe? Vijay Krishna Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes, of course, Panchatattva Prabhu. Thank you very much. You're most kind. 57?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Se viprajanena prabhunayana kara gare tangara preranayatanre atyagrahakare. The Brahmana knew that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never went to anyone else's house. Yet, due to inspiration from the Lord, he earnestly requested him to accept this invitation.
Please continue.
Text 58. Aradinegela Prabhu se vipra bhavane dekilena vasityachena sanyasiragane. The next day, when Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the house of that Brahmana, he saw all the sannyasis of Benares sitting there.
Sadhu, sadhu, do another.
Text 59. Sabha namaskari gela pada prakshalane pada prakshalana kari basila seistane. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the sannyasis, he immediately offered obeisances, and then he went to wash his feet. After washing his feet, he sat down by the place where he had done so. Purport. By offering his obeisances to the Mayavadi sannyasis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very clearly exhibited his humbleness to everyone. Vaishnavas must not be disrespectful to anyone, to say nothing of a sannyasi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches, Amanina Manadena. One should always be respectful to others, but should not demand respect for himself. A sannyasi should always walk barefoot, and therefore, when he enters a temple or a society of devotees, he should first wash his feet and then sit down in a proper place. In India, it is still the prevalent custom that one put his shoes in a specified place and then enter the temple barefoot after washing his feet. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an ideal acharya, and those who follow in his footsteps should practice the methods of devotional life that he teaches us.
Would you like to comment, Prabhu?
very quickly, I like the following quote, Vaishnavas must not be disrespectful to anyone, to say nothing of a sannyasi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches, Amanina manadena. One should always be respectful to others, but should not demand respect for himself. Unquote. Based on this quote, I would like to say that if we're not, this is related to the necklace verse, no?
Yes.
Yes, and my comment is that if we forget the necklace, we're in trouble. That is my comment.
Thank you. Anybody
How
else
can
like
you
to-
be in the association of the devotees by being disrespectful? It's not possible.
Yeah, well, Vaishnavas are so tolerant and humble that sometimes those conditions are there, that someone is disrespectful, you know, especially when we're at the very beginning stages of trying to associate with devotees and practice Krishna consciousness. We can have a lot of rough edges. So we're fortunate to have the association of devotees who can be a little tolerant of us. Prabhupada, there's been a famous passage probably from one of Prabhupada's letters that's been circulating in the devotional atmosphere of Facebook. If you have the right friends, you can make it a little devotional. Basically, Prabhupada saying, you know, we can't expect that everybody who joins is going to be a first-class man, first-class person. You know, people are at different stages. We have to be a little tolerant. So, you know, you have different stages in devotional service: Kanishta, Majjhima, Uttama, and by and large, beginners are in the Kanishta Adhikari stage, and they may make some offense here and there and be confused and need compassionate guidance from their Majjhima brothers and sisters, so that they don't fall prey to Vaishnava aparads and misunderstandings early on in devotional service, because it's so easy to make mistakes, especially when you're a young devotee. What to speak of later on when Maya tries to tempt you with other more subtle allurements. So we're a family of Vaishnavas, and we have to help each other. And this humility it's really kind of like it's part of Vaishnav culture, and it keeps things working. Without it, we can't exist as a Vaishnav culture even.
Yes, I totally agree.
Are there any comments in the chat, or would anybody like to speak up?
And Panchatattva Prabhu, if I may, Maharaj is here.
Jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai. Guru Maharaj, we are reading on the 7th chapter, Caitanya-caritamrta. We're on text 59 in the 7th chapter. Lord Chaitanya has just arrived at the Brahmin's home and has washed his feet and sat down near where he did so, near the doorway. It brings to mind that we purchased a print from the BBT of that very illustration that was made for Caitanya-caritamrta and placed it in the hallway. It's one of my favorite paintings. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is exhibiting his effulgence, and then Mayavadi sannyasis are attracted, and Prakashananda Saraswati goes to him to extend his hand, and thereby gains the Agyata Sukriti that he needs to further understand what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is about to instruct them in. Anything in the chat box, or?
Yes.
There is something. Kendra Prabhu says, I have one godbrother who had the Tranadapi Sunichena verse tattooed around his neck in Bengali. And he said, as it is said, money greases the wheels of commerce. It occurs to me that humility greases the wheels of spiritual progress.
Yeah. Nice. Anyone else? It's such a beautiful passage that's here taking place. We get to read it as a great blessing. Who would like to read the next verse? Please come forward.
I'll read it.
Very good.
Be text 60, correct?
Correct.
Vasya Karila Kichu Aishvarya Prakasha Mahate Jomaya Vapu Koti Surya Basha. After sitting on the ground, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his mystic power by manifesting an effulgence as brilliant as the illumination of millions of suns. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, is full of all potencies. Therefore, it is not remarkable for him to manifest the illumination of millions of suns. Lord Sri Krishna is known as Yogeshvara, the master of all mystic powers. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself. Therefore, he can exhibit any mystic power.
Joy. Would you like to make any comment?
Nothing I can think of at this time.
The last verse of Bhagavad Gita. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna, or Krishna, I should say. Yatra Parta Danudara Tatra Shir Vijaya Bhutir Ruvani Tiramatir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjun, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion, says Sanjaya. Yogeshvara Krishna. So the Mayavadi sannyasis are getting quite an introduction to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That personality that they've been minimizing and criticizing has now shown up at the Brahman's house where they await, and is sat down in a humble place by the place where shoes are let off and feet are washed, and is exhibiting a tremendous effulgence. Just imagine the scene, what this is doing to them, to see what is taking place, how they must be overwhelmed. Would anyone like to read the next verse? Dana, would you like to read?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Couldn't unmute. Prabhavi Akashila Saba Sanya Shiramana Sutila Sanyasi Saba Sadhya Asana. Translation. When the sannyasis saw the brilliant illumination of the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their minds were attracted, and they all immediately gave up their sitting places and stood in respect. Purport. To draw the attention of common men, sometimes saintly persons, acharyas, and teachers exhibit extraordinary opulences. This is necessary to attract the attention of fools. But a saintly person should not misuse such power for personal sense gratification like false saints who declare themselves to be God. Even a magician can exhibit extraordinary feats that are not understandable to common men. But this does not mean that the magician is God. It is a most sinful activity to attract attention by exhibiting mystic powers and then to utilize this opportunity to declare oneself to be God. A real saintly person never declares himself to be God, but always places himself in the position of a servant of God. For a servant of God, there is no need to exhibit mystic powers, and he does not like to do so. But on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a humble servant of God performs his activities in such a wonderful way that no common man can dare try to act like him. Yet a saintly person never takes credit for such actions because he knows very well that when wonderful things are done on his behalf by the grace of the Supreme Lord, all credit goes to the master and not to the servant.
Mhm. Nice reading. Thank you. Would you like to make some comments? What do you get from this verse and purport?
I get some very good reminders. And it's really amazing, like coming to Krishna consciousness. That's one of the things like that really had been rewired in my own brain. I mean, sure, like growing up, it's always been like, oh, yay, like you did that, you achieved that, you worked hard for that. But like I've learned, it's not me, it's Krishna. So every time anything happens, and I'm trying to learn even when the bad things happen, just look to Krishna and give thanks and know that that's, Krishna. And I think that it also, I know one other time I read in this group, and I had mentioned that that's one of the cool things is about like when you are looking for a spiritual master, like it's just not some guy that's, says this, that, or the other, like it's backed up by Shastra, and I just find that that's another really amazing thing in this verse is like, it's for looking to these characteristics in the people that we learn from or grow from or want to evolve, especially in this spiritual journey. So how humble they are and how much they give this gratitude to Krishna. So yeah, I'm rambling, but you get the point, I hope.
Well, it's pretty good rambling. Thank you. Yeah, Krishna says, Shabdake Paurusham Nashu. I am the sound and ether and the ability in the human being, man. So yeah, you're right. It's a really nice meditation to understand how Krishna is giving us intelligence. He's giving us the intelligence to even to make progress in Krishna consciousness. And that's what we have to desire. If we start desiring something else, he'll give us that also, maybe a little reluctantly, but he won't interfere with our independence. But if we make the effort, we try to understand Krishna in this way by associating with devotees, by hearing from advanced devotees in particular, and by chanting Hare Krishna very carefully, then we make spiritual advancement and Krishna increases our understanding. So we desire more and more to be fully Krishna conscious. Very nice. Thank you for that reading. It was excellent. Anyone else? Oh, is there something in the chat box?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes, there's a few comments. Kendra Prabhu said, I've heard that this maneuver of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was especially attractive to the assembled sannyasis since the Brahmajyoti was their goal of life. I've also heard that this preaching strategy isn't possible for most of us. And Saraswati Mataji has a question. Since Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is playing the part of a devotee, why is he now exhibiting powers of his Godhead?
I think it appears to me that he's simply being merciful to the Mayavadis in the very same way that Kendra Prabhu is suggesting, that he's showing them something that will disarm them. They've already expressed a common inimical nature towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Imagine they're sitting amongst themselves in their Sangha and they're criticizing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So at least in a disarming way, he's making this exhibition, Prabhupada mentions, for the common men. Sometimes this is. So in that sense, they're common, they are understanding who Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. They don't understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness whatsoever, really. So he's making this introduction to prepare them. I'm reminded of something, Vakreshwara Pandit, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, told a story years ago that I heard. I think it was Evanston Temple. Prabhupada came to visit there, and Vakreshwara Pandit was a new devotee. And before Prabhupada arrived, Brahmananda arrived, if I remember the story correctly. And Brahmananda was looking around and he said, "Is there a back entrance to this place?" And Vakreshwara Pandit said, "Yeah, I can show you." He said, "Come on, show me." So he and Brahmananda went around to the back of the building to an entrance where they could get a view of Srila Prabhupada entering the building. And Vakreshwara Pandit said that they were both waiting and watching. And when Prabhupada came in, it was like the place lit up. And Brahmananda looked at Vakreshwara Pandit and said, "Did you see that?" And Vakreshwara Pandit said, "Yeah, I saw that. That was amazing." So, the idea being that the pure devotee of the Lord may be taken in an ordinary way, but they're extraordinary personalities. And if you're particularly blessed, you'll have insight. There are so many stories that devotees tell of the first time they met Srila Prabhupada, how he looked right through them, he looked to the core of their heart. And it may sound on the face of it as being something sentimental, but the devotees are very serious about it. They said it was an extraordinary experience for them. So, in somewhat of a similar way, but certainly on an order of magnitude, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, playing the role of a devotee, entered the home of the Brahmana and exhibited Brahman effulgence to the Mayavadi sannyasis. Are there any more comments? Would anybody like to say something? Yeah.
Kendra Prabhu says, the devotee prays in the Upanishad mantra for the glaring effulgence to be removed so that the Lord's face may be seen. In this instance, he's doing the opposite.
Nice point. Oh, he's going to remove the glaring effulgence shortly. We'll come to see in the 7th chapter why Prabhupada said that it should be published as a book and distributed to the Mayavadi sannyasis. Wonderful section. Who would like to read the next verse? Text 62. Would anyone like to read? Doug, would you like to read? Dr. Doug Prabhu.
He is unavailable at the moment.
All right. Surabhi Kunj, would you like to read?
Sure.
Okay.
Prakashananda name sarva sannyasi pradana Prabhu ke kahila kichu karya samana. The leader of all the Mayavadi sannyasis present was named Prakashananda Saraswati. And after standing up, he addressed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as follows with great respect. Purport. As Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed respect to all the Mayavadi sannyasis, similarly, the leader of the Mayavadi sannyasis, Prakashananda, also showed his respects to the Lord.
Please continue.
Ihan Aisha Sunaha Sripada Apavitra Stane Vaisha Kiba Avasada. Please come here, Your Holiness. Why do you sit in that unclean place? What has caused your lamentation? Purport. What is the distinction between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prakashananda Saraswati? In the material world, everyone wants to introduce himself as very important and great. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced himself very humbly and meekly. The Mayavadis were sitting in an exalted position, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat in a place that was not even clean. Therefore, the Mayavadi sannyasis thought that he must have been aggrieved for some reason, and Prakashananda Saraswati inquired about the cause for his lamentation.
Read the next one. Please.
Prabhu kahe ami hina sampradaya Toma sabara sabaya vasitena yuyaya. The Lord replied, I belong to a lower order of sannyasis. Therefore, I do not deserve to sit with you. Purport. Mayavadi sannyasis are always very puffed up because of their knowledge of Sanskrit and because they belong to the Sankara Sampradaya. They are always under the impression that unless one is a Brahmana and a very good Sanskrit scholar, especially in grammar, one cannot accept the renounced order of life or become a preacher. Mayavadi sannyasis also misinterpret all the Shastras with their word jugglery and grammatical compositions. Yet Sripad Sankaracharya himself condemned such jugglery of words in the verse, Prapte sanihite kale nahi rakshati dukrin karane. Dukrin refers to suffixes and prefixes in Sanskrit grammar. Shankaracharya warned his disciples that if they concerned themselves only with the principles of grammar, not worshipping Govinda, they were fools who would never be saved. Yet in spite of Sripad Sankaracharya's instructions, foolish Mayavadi sannyasis are always busy juggling words on the basis of strict Sanskrit grammar. Mayavadi sannyasis are very puffed up if they hold the elevated sannyas title Tirtha, Ashram, or Saraswati. Even among Mayavadis, those who belong to other sampradayas and hold other titles, such as Bana, Aranya, or Bharati, are considered to be lower grade sannyasis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas from the Bharati Sampradaya, and thus he considered himself a lower sannyasi than Prakashananda Saraswati. To remain distinct from Vaishnava sannyasis, the sannyasis of the Mayavadi Sampradaya always think themselves to be situated in a very much elevated spiritual order. But Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in order to teach them how to become humble and meek, accepted himself as belonging to a lower Sampradaya of sannyasis. Thus, he wanted to point out clearly that a sannyasi is one who is advanced in spiritual knowledge. One who is advanced in spiritual knowledge should be accepted as occupying a better position than those who lack such knowledge. The Mayavadi Sampradaya sannyasis are generally known as Vedantis, as if Vedanta were their monopoly. Actually, however, Vedanti refers to a person who perfectly knows Krishna, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, it is Krishna who is to be known. The so-called Mayavadi Vedantis do not know who Krishna is. Therefore, their title of Vedanti, or knower of Vedanta philosophy, is simply a pretension. Mayavadi sannyasis always think of themselves as real sannyasis and consider sannyasis of the Vaishnava order to be brahmacharis. A brahmachari is supposed to engage in the service of a sannyasi and accept him as his guru. Mayavadi sannyasis therefore declare themselves to be not only gurus but jagat gurus, or the spiritual masters of the entire world, although, of course, they cannot see the entire world. Sometimes they dress gorgeously and travel on the backs of elephants in processions, and thus they are always puffed up, accepting themselves as jagat gurus. Srila Rupa Goswami, however, has explained that Jagat Guru properly refers to one who is the controller of his tongue, mind, words, belly, genitals, and anger. Prithivim sa sisyat. Such a Jagat Guru is completely fit to make disciples all over the world. Due to false prestige, Mayavadi sannyasis who do not have these qualifications sometimes harass and blaspheme a Vaishnava sannyasi who humbly engages in the service of the Lord.
Would you like to make some comments? I know it's a lengthy read, but
I think the main point that was coming across was the importance of humility. So it makes sense why Lord Chaitanya emphasized humility and why Prabhupada emphasized humility, and why that verse of Shikshastakam is like so important. That I think I heard someone, I don't know who it was, don't know if it was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who said that like that's the main mantra that we should like focus on. I mean, that's our like, I think somebody, well, my temple president told me the story, but somebody was questioning Bhaktisiddhanta about like Siddha Pranali or something, and you know, and he said that our mantra that we should focus on is Trinadapi Sunichena verse, because that's our position that will situate us as servants. But I don't remember the details properly of like that conversation, but that stood out to me, that instead of trying to understand all these elevated topics like our eternal identity, we should just establish ourselves as the servant in a humble mood.
thank you. And yet we have all of these books that Srila Prabhupada gave us to study deeply and thoroughly, where the essence of Vedanta is described very nicely. The Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is a natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, the works of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Srimad-Bhagavatamrta. We have all of these wonderful tomes of Vaishnava literature, which are full of the most exalted philosophy, which we can study very deeply. You can address the verse Trinadapi Sanichana Shikshastakam. It's enshrined in the Lila of Sri Caitanya-caritamrta. So we have quite a compendium of Vedic knowledge presented with the proper Vaishnav, Gaudiya Vaishnav Siddhanta, so that we can't be waylaid by Mayavadi interpretations or word jugglery. Nahi nahi rakshiti dukrin karane. So very nice. Any other comments? Oh, Kendra Das has made a comment. Would you like to read Surabhi Kunj?
Yes. Sorry, there's a few comments.
Please.
Murari Gupta Prabhu says, I heard that devotees chanted Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada in Kirtan, but Prabhupada stopped it. Can anyone confirm that?
Don't know. I've heard that expression criticized before. I can't say.
Oh, Saraswati Mataji said, yes, he did. Oh, Maharaj says, I don't remember him stopping it.
Was there a comment from a Kendra Prabhu?
Yes. Oh, Maharaj just continued. He said, but he said it was a 5th class title.
Not exactly a ringing endorsement.
Yeah. And Ekendra Prabhu has a comment. In relation to the first paragraph of the purport, I find it interesting that so many devotees have taken severe detours from bhakti as a result, seemingly, of becoming a little knowledgeable in Sanskrit. Is it something about Sanskrit itself that has the power to waylay otherwise intelligent persons?
It's a good question. I think it would be a good question for Maharaj. I don't know. I've not known too many Sanskrit scholars. The ones I've known, such as His Grace Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, were never waylaid. So I guess it's maybe it's an individual, take it at individual cases. You know, if someone's already proud of their abilities, their intellect, and so forth, they may have the seed of pride already there. That maybe, anyway. Now I'm speculating. Or you can become vulnerable if you get a little learning. Our best position is to trust the learning and realization of our acharyas. If we start second guessing our acharyas, then we're in a very perilous position.
Maharaj says, quoting Srila Prabhupada, as soon as they know a little Sanskrit, they think they're better than Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, that's the problem. It sounds a lot like the example Prabhupada gave. I think he gave to Pavananda when he was talking about how the Mayavadis think. They, they're taken by the arm, and once they've gotten some advance, they push away their guru. I don't need him anymore. He shoved him away. I think that was how the story went. So we have to avoid that. That's clearly a Mayavadi tendency. So we will do well to remember that we, as far as we're concerned, as conditioned souls, we've been infected with this impersonalist tendency for a very long time. And it requires diligence and care and serious effort to become free from it.
Saraswati Mataji has her hand raised, and Ekendra Prabhu said, I've seen this very phenomenon repeat itself several times.
Saraswati Mataji, would you like to say something?
Yes, pranams. I was just going to say it's that all these titles and the different divisions of sannyas, and how it's it can be really hard unless you're a pure devotee to stay grounded and not become puffed up, especially when you have a massive fanfare following. I was just reading somewhere that even like with the Roman conquerors, they would have a person who would, while they were riding the circuit on their chariots as conquerors, they would have a person who would be standing behind them, whispering in their ears, "You are not God. Remember, you are not God." Anyway, I wanted to share something. Recently I was in the presence of someone, not in this sampradaya, not with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sampradaya, another sampradaya, and I won't name it. One of their descendants came, and it was he was really trying to tell the listeners what their identity is, and he's saying, in the West you forget. And you're Sanatan Dharma, and then you come down to Bharatvarsh, and then this is, well, I won't go on. He had a whole list of when someone asks you who you are, what you should be saying, from this village, that village. And then he just looked at me and said, "Now, do you know who you are?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just an ignorant soul, but my Guru Maharaj told me that I'm not this body, therefore I have no labels attached to this body. I'm just trying to be an aspiring servant of Krishna." And he just looked at you. I thought, what's the big deal with you knowing which village you came from? I mean, what does that matter? We're not this body anyway. I don't think he liked my answer very much, but there you have it.
Thank you. Kendra Prabhu had one remark. Would you like to read it, Surabhi Kunj?
Ekendra Prabhu says, it's great to hear that Sankaracharya himself warned his disciples about getting too caught up in Sanskrit grammar.
Yeah, I seem to remember the Bhajagovinda, Bhajagovinda, Bhajagovinda Mudamate, and then it goes on, the Dukran Karne. That was that. As I recall, that was an instruction given by Sripad Sankaracharya towards the end of his life, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong, I don't know. But it's clearly an instruction. You fools and rascals, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Mudamate. 3 times, they say. Don't engage, and then don't engage in this word jugglery. It won't get you anywhere. We are at the end of our time. Would someone like to lead the closing Mano Kirtan? How about you, Vijay Krishna Prabhu?
Panchatattva Das Prabhu, only if you insist.
I insist.
Well, if you insist, here it goes.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And
Premadwani
please,
prayers?
you do the
Okay.
Premadwani
Premadwani.
prayers?
Okay, you don't want to do?
No, I don't.
Okay. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajacharya Astotra Sata Shishimad, His Divine Grace. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajacharya Astotra Sata Shishimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samabeta Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande.
Hari Haribo. Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu. Thank you, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Jai.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. So happy that Maharaj could be here this evening.
Jai.
Shara and Doug say to Vijay Krishna Prabhu, your kirtans are delightful. Thank you. Where I grouped
Yeah.
it, Prabhu says, Jai, thank you, Maharaj, and all assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Dana says, grateful for this group. Thank you.
Jai.
And Vijay Krishna Prabhu says,
Allow me, Ekendra Prabhu, if I may, to give my verbal thanks for the compliments offered to me by Shara and Doug Prabhu. Thank you very much. You're most kind.
Jai.
Sri Caitanya-caritamrta ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Bye.
His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj and friends Ki Jai.
Jai.
Yay.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Or Premanande.
Jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj and friends.